Okay, it's Sunday morning now, on our way back to the car show, and I want to start this off with the driving portion. First, I want to draw your attention to this blue light. It's a light that, I know you can't read it real well, but it's a light that actually comes on to tell you that the car is cold. Somewhat unusual, but you have, by today's standards, but you have to remember that back then cars had to be warmed up, and it wasn't really safe to drive them in terms of being good for the engine unless you had warmed it up first. So that's why. The other thing I dig about these old-style big American cars was the horizontal bar speedometer. It wasn't rotational, though. That's considered more of a sport option. But this was a lot of the old Fords, LTDs, and even the big block Chevys ran bar speedometers that ran horizontal from left to right. On our way to Modesto, so you kind of get an idea of the 3-speed on the column and how that works. Lap belts, no shoulder belts. You didn't really need it back then. There we go. This car almost starts easier cold than it does warm. Up, we'll be driving west. You can turn forward too. Get some of that big hood in front of us. There we go. Talking neck snapping acceleration here. It's never intended to be a race car, but it's what I would call a good sleeper. It looks slow. It looks like something that everybody wants to get around, but it can move and get out of its way better than you might think. We're in the beautiful town of Oakdale, California. One thing that's kind of cool that you might notice: no post division between the side windows. If I roll this all the way down, you'll notice this is open with no post there, which is kind of a neat feature of a lot of these older cars. And then I have the option of rolling this up, so what happens if there's too many windows open or we're going too fast? The headliner bows down, and these little metal rods that hold the headliner in shape fall apart. So the whole thing about the 3-speed on the stick is it takes a little bit of used to it first, but once you get used to it, it's like anything else. One thing I forgot to say yesterday is I think what it is that makes it a little hard to deal with is it's geared very low. First gear is 0 to 30. Second gear would be 30 to 45. So when you have a car that's geared that low in first gear with only 3 gears to choose from, kind of hard to get up and accelerate quickly, at least off the line. Or maybe I'm just not driving it right. That could be too. Kind of get a sense of the expanse of the car by length of the hood. Make this turn. I put newer shocks in here that prevent a whole bunch of sway. But there's only so much of that you can dampen. It is a big car, and when I make sharp turns, the whole thing does kind of lean like a boat, because that's really how the cars were made back then. The fact is, it is a 40-year-old cruising coupe, and it's going to have some lean and some roll and some characteristics that are less than favorable on anything but a straight line. These cars really are designed to maintain a steady speed and go straight brake. You ask them to accelerate too quickly, or, whoa, those are called railroad tracks, but I took too fast. And you ask them to turn too sharp. They'll do it, but they're not going to be as